Hello, and welcome to Healers Enlightened Network. This is webinar 118, and we are so blessed today, once again, to have Miss Lana Nelson with us, talking about the food codes. And she's going to teach us a little blessing about the foods codes list. And we are going to be so cherished to her for doing this. And if we would all please just bow your heads and let's bring some peace and love and some harmony into us and allow the divine to be able to flow. Beautiful. We have quite a bunch with us today. There are 35. There's archangels, there's guides, and Saint Raphael is here. Somebody must need a healing. That's really beautiful. That's great. So Lana, you have been doing this, you said, for 27 years. Has it always been the food codes book, or has it been something else?
Well, I can give you a short synopsis of how all this began.
Sure, that would be beautiful. Thank you.
It began actually many years before that, let's see, I was actually about 32. We were just talking about 32. And I owned a dental lab. I had my own dental lab, and I was delivering a set of dentures one morning so a woman could eat dinner with her teeth. Anyway, on my way to deliver this set of dentures to the prosthodontist, I was in a car wreck. I was rear-ended by a semi-truck in my small delivery car. And fast forward that to 10 years, I had head, neck, and shoulder injuries and in a lot of pain 24/7. Head, neck, shoulders, 10 years of headaches. And so my mother had done weird things like, drink brewer's yeast tea when I was a girl and herbal tea or something like that, which was weird way back in those days. But anyway, so I started looking for, I went to neurologists, and about the third neurologist I went to said, I think these really horrible headaches and this, because my neck and shoulders, I had to turn like so. I was pretty much frozen in my neck. And so he said, I think you need to see a chiropractor to see if, that could be helped. So my mom had seen one when I was a young girl. So I went to a chiropractor and it helped. He was just, he didn't do energy medicine other than, adjusting muscle, adjusting your bones and so on. And it helped quite a bit. I stopped having many of the headaches, but still it just went on. So I went to massage, and this chiropractor referred me to a Rolfing, a fellow who did Rolfing. So I started doing some things that were just kind of out of the ordinary back then, but I also started using foods. I searched out the best supplements that I could find. I was spending, back in the early 80s, I was spending $500-600 a month on supplements, which was a lot of money. And the best supplements that I could get, I was taking lots of, B vitamins and so on. And I borrowed a juicer from my friend. Okay, I didn't really even know what a juicer was, but she was one of those, she would start it into some natural stuff, and juicing was really weird. No internet back then, of course, either. So what do I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to juice. So I bought a book that I don't remember what it was now, and I'm sure it's way out of print, but I bought a book about juicing. And it said, so in that period of time, I had started to have some very serious bowel problems with all this. The bowel problems kicked in, and I was in the emergency room a few times with serious pain and discomfort with bowel problems. And so I couldn't eat very much, and I mean, just all sorts of things like that. So in this juicing book, it said cabbage juice and garlic were some of the best things for your gut, for healing your gut. Okay. So what did I do? If I'm going to do something, I like jump in from the high dive most of the time, instead of just like dabble my foot in the water to test the temperature. So what I did, I big huge head of fresh cabbage and my friend's champion juicer and bunch of fresh garlic. So I juiced an entire big glass of cabbage juice. I still remember, you know how when something traumatic happens to you, you remember the time and the taste and the smell and everything of where you were standing, okay? I was in my kitchen and I had this big, beautiful juice of cabbage juice, gave it a little whiff. Oh, it was okay. So the man who wrote the book said he just popped the garlic in his mouth, chewed it up, and so on.
Ew.
Okay, I'd cooked with garlic and so on. Okay, I'm seeing an open mouth there. So I just pop in a couple cloves of garlic, chew them up real fast, and it's like fire! Oh my gosh, my mouth's on fire. I gulped the juice down really, really fast. Don't ever do that unless you want to see a mountain of green shoot out from like your child's science experience. So anyway, that was not my best experience with juicing. From then I did a little better with not so much and trying to do it all at once. That seems to be one of the things we do with our health. If we find something that's good for us, let's get in there and let's go gangbusters with it. But sometimes we need to do baby steps to different things. So that was it. So anyway, that started my into natural foods and supplements and so on. And I just read every book I could find about healing. And it's pretty interesting too. I was a single mom with 6 little kids. My youngest was about 7, I guess. And my oldest was just like maybe a sophomore in high school. So a little pack of kids. And one of my friends called me up one evening and said, they're having a dance and you might have heard this, a couple of you story before, but they're having a parent dance at the high school. And we have a friend here in town that we'd like to kind of hook you up with. And I'm going, oh, no, I don't do blind dates. I had, 1 or 2 of those already. And anyway, they said, well, we're coming to pick you up anyway. Long story short with that, I did meet my Prince Charming. He happened to be a chiropractor, and I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. He happened to specialize in that day. Fibromyalgia, the word was not known. Okay, it was just starting to be known and so he was researching into it very much. And so in about 2 weeks after meeting this wonderful man, whom really after that first dance and the first date, he was a great dancer. I couldn't dance at all. But so finally on the dance floor, I just said, why don't you just throw me and catch me? And, we called it good. But so with that, he had a chiropractic method that in 2 weeks, I was completely out of pain. The P word. I had range of motion. I was sleeping well. And he tested me on some of his supplements. He said, oh, you're really B12 deficient. And I went, oh, no, I can't be, because I'm taking, all these supplements I'm taking, no. But he used some of his supplements and he said, this is the one you need. This one is the specific supplement that will help you with your bees. So anyway, that being said, fast forward a few months, we joined 6. I had 6 kids, he had 6. We joined this tribe. Okay.
Lord.
We joined this tribe. And cool thing is this summer, we are all getting together, the 12. And I won't go into that, but we have a really fun event planned this summer for us all getting together again, and which we have done periodically. But that 27 years ago, we joined forces. And since that time, I have been completely out of pain. Okay, we all have our ups and downs with different imbalances because we are living in this world, but seriously, nothing like I ever had. No 24/7 headaches for 10 years, etc. So, and he happened to be Dr. Bradley Nelson's brother. So Dr. Bruce and Dr. Brad were working closely together. And that system that was worked on way back then, Dr. Bradley brought out the emotion code and eventually made the magnificent app of the sorry, the body code. So with that, in practicing with my husband, Dr. Bruce, and working with these kind of energy, this kind of energy healing, I said, you know, I have been doing food codes. Not, it wasn't called food codes back then, but I've been doing food testing. It just came to me. Well, if you can test what this and that, why not test food? So I was doing food plans for my kids, for my friends, for myself, and wanting to drop a few pounds and so I said, I think we need to start doing the food code, the food testing for your patients, and specifically testing what their foods are for healing. And great idea. So everyone, he had mostly fibromyalgia and very, very ill people coming at that period of time. This was early 90s. And they would come from US and Canada, some other countries, and stay for a week and go through the treatment program. And so I formulated, just simply muscle tested, what were their best foods to stay on and what were the foods to avoid. So that is pretty much, and so as I'm doing this for patients, people kept saying, and Dr. Brad kept saying, you need to write a book about this, Lana. So what we did was I wrote a book about your best foods or your worst foods. What I did was I took several years of food plans that I had worked with people, and I took their top foods that were the best for them. And there were some that, the top foods from this group of people, okay, put this on a plan. And I looked at the foods for them to avoid and stay away from. Okay, so that I put on this plan. I was actually writing a book that never was published, and I completely wrote it until this. So we had some beta testing. We had some patients who were using this particular food plan, healing food plan. And I had it taped to our refrigerator, and Bruce and I stuck to it for several weeks. He soared with this food plan. He did extremely, extremely well. And it had some proteins, it had some meat proteins, it had fruits and vegetables and so on. And we stayed away from those foods that bothered, that bothered people. But as this progressed, Bruce did great with it. And I started getting almost sick. My energy was dropping, and I started developing little sores around my mouth, little blisters. It was really kind of crazy. We were sitting down to eat one evening, and it was like an aha moment. Oh my goodness, this plan is your perfect plan. It is not my best plan. The book that I was writing for, it's like 14 Days to a Pain-Free Life, my life would not have been pain-free. Myself staying on that diet, it was just like any other diet book that was out there. It's going to help some people. It's not going to help some people. So I couldn't write that book. In the meantime, my dear husband, Bruce, had a massive brain aneurysm, and that was 7 years ago this June. And so before that, Bruce was like the star of the show. He did seminars and all that kind of stuff, which put me in a different light. And that is when I decided I had to write a different book. So while Bruce was in the hospital, I actually worked with the doctors. He lived, which was the most amazing thing of all. He was 45 days into, he was life flighted from our little area in Montana to Seattle, and 45 days recuperating and learning to do everything again: stand, sit, eat, walk, drink, etc. And I used his particular food plan. I did my daughters and I actually sat down in his room, and I said, girls, let's formulate a food plan for him. I worked with the dietitian. I worked with the hospital. They were so marvelous. And I even worked with, when they were giving him, he had to be intravenously fed for quite a while. I said, please let me know what types you have of the IV feeding and so on. So I worked with them from every step of the way. And I do believe that food was one of the wonderful things that also helped him heal with that. But in the meantime, I wrote the book, The Food Codes, Intuitive Eating for Everybody. And with that, I actually had to teach. It was a little more complex than just writing a diet plan, because I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to teach you how to do this for yourself. And wow, so it was quite a project. And then I've got to teach you and show you how you're going to use it. Because, okay, you have some foods here. What do I do with this now? And here's an interesting thing too, ladies. There are people that are so, we're entrained with dieting. We're entrained with the diet mentality. And the minute you say diet, it just puts our whole body on alert. So sometimes you have your food plan here and it's like, okay, that's just another diet. And you start cheating, you can't do this, you put it off. So it's a way of life is what it is. And in the book, I show you that it's actually our relationship with food. And it helps you to regain from that tiny little child that we had a perfect relationship with food, how to regain that. So what I'm doing today is each of you should have the food codes list that you could actually follow along with me and do your food codes. But if anybody would like to volunteer, Cynthia, I would love to, do a demo. And
Sure. That would be great.
I would just love to do a demo with anyone.
I would love to volunteer.
Okay, Paula?
Beautiful.
All right, does that sound good? Now, Cynthia, can I share my screen? I have a little clicker here. Can I share my screen? Okay, let me see. Let me pull up the foods list.
That should let you right in.
Oh, okay, let me see. First of all, share my screen.
Oops.
Okay, and
Nope.
foods list.
Nope.
Can you see my screen?
Let me see what we do. Come
Yes,
back.
we can see it.
Can you see it, Paulo?
Yes.
It should say the food codes list, food list.
No, now. Now I can see your screen.
Okay.
Pop
the
it
food codes,
again.
the food codes food list. Can you see that?
No.
Nope. Pop it again. See if it'll go through.
Okay. Let me see. Can I do that? Share. Oh, I see what I needed to do. How's that?
Yes.
There you go. Beautiful.
I just learned something new as well. Okay. All righty. Okay. So this is a fillable document, and I've had it for a while, and you'll find that some of it needs a little upgrading. So, if any of you are those wonderful girls who can see, I'm the creative kind. But so you can see as, let's just 5, you can fill this out online. And then it can be printed as well. So 5, and we have 18th today, and 2021. All right, I'm just going to put PAOLA, sorry. All right, and I'm not going to fill the rest of this out, but as you can see, you can put your age, gender, and email address here, and you can also fill out how long this food plan is appropriate for. You may do a food list for any specific thing you would like. You can create your own list. Let's say you have a marathon that you're getting ready for, or something like that. What foods do I need to help get ready for this? What foods do I need to, my best foods or foods to avoid? What foods do I need to recover from this? What foods might I need as I'm going through the marathon to keep me, so you could do 3 different ones almost, to keep my body going. So do you understand how you can just, it's really versatile to use in many ways? Okay. All right, so hold on just a minute. So Paula, do you have a specific goal, or just what are my best foods? What are my not as good foods? Do you have a specific goal? I've been really tired lately, or I have a condition that I've worked with for a long time, and what are the best foods for that? Or what do you have a specific goal? Now, you do not have to. You can simply say, at this time, what are my best foods, and what are the best foods the foods I need to stay away from?
Okay, that will be nice. My best foods for weight loss, for example.
Okay. All right. So I am just going to put this in here. Okay. So weight loss, and there are people that say no, you can't put loss because you'll be looking to find it. Your body just says, okay, you want to decrease in size, or you want to shed a little weight. So here are and I'll go through this with you. There is several sections, and here are general fruits, berries, canned fruits, melons. In section 2, general vegetables. And these are whole foods, okay? So it's a list of testing whole foods, but you can also test any type of food that is packaged or boxed or bottled or canned, any type of food, drink, or condiment or anything else, okay? You can test pretty much anything, but the list is general whole foods. And with each of these, I have also a fillable, say, looking at onion family here, there's also a fillable part where you can, put something else in that you might think of, or that's not on the list, okay? And then we have the root vegetables, legumes, mushrooms, fungi, sea vegetables, sprouts, broths, very important in our food, and then dairy, different types of dairy, cheese, non-dairy. I don't think I have sheep in here. I just did a test a plan for a person, and sheep products were best for her, but different types of and non-dairy and so on. Other type foods, grains, flours, different types of breads, pastas, and section 5 into nuts and seeds. And again, anything that's not in here, you can put it in. Something that you might be eating or want to eat, you can just put that right in there. Different seeds, and then fats and oils, a lot of different types of fats and oils in here to test, good or bad. And then meat, poultry, seafood, a lot of different times for those. Meat broth and bone broth, different, okay? Bone broth is using just pretty much the bones. Meat broth, and there is a different, they will test differently for you. Sometimes both are just really good. Sometimes meat broth over bone broth, or vice versa. So just some of my research, different types of eggs. And then a lot of different types of sweeteners, spices, condiments, herbs, and so on. And then into different types of salt, because salt even your body can require different types of salt, and then some other cooking things, beverages, different types of teas, juices, vegetable. You can test, and it's interesting, you know, to test all these. And then juices, fresh fruit juice made from your fruits, fresh vegetable juice made from your vegetables. Do you need a combination of fresh fruit and vegetables from your fresh fruits and vegetables? And then just a few different types of waters here, because that has made a big difference. Some people, distilled water, you know, a lot of people will drink distilled water. Some people drink the pH water, the really, you know, the high pH water. You need to test those, because I've had several clients, and I'm not saying anything against any of these. It's some people require different things at different times in their life. One person was drinking a pH water that was like a 9, and it was making her ill. So not good for her. So miscellaneous things, just some chips and protein powders, etc. And then, okay, so we're going to go back. Any questions so far? Anyone that has a question that you'd like to ask, please pop right in there. Don't be shy. Okay, going back here. Okay, so you can do a fast forward, or you can do what I generally say is your first program, test on a scale of 1 to 10. How, so most of you, do you all practice muscle testing or dowsing? Okay, or are familiar with it? All right, so yeah, here's a little bobber. Some people use the bobber. And some people will use dowsing tools. And I even have a magic bullet. I love Raymond Grace. He uses, he's one of the key dowsing guys from a long, long time, but dowsing or muscle testing. So the form of muscle testing I will use today is just with my finger. Hold my finger out straight and say, give me a yes. My finger goes up. Give me a no. My finger just bops down. So if you're new to muscle testing, the key is find what works best for you. There are many, many different types of muscle testing, and I go through a lot of that in the book and teach you how to use that. This was not my first, I couldn't do that at first. I used like the little beak and ring method. I would make a beak with my fingers and then just stick it through. Give me a yes, my finger remained strong. Give me a no, and that opened up. I needed just more involvement with my fingers. But my key start out muscle testing, what I would simply take something to my husband and I would say, honey, would you test this for me? And honey was not always there. So then I had to learn to muscle test by myself. So anyway, so all right, so Paula, let's ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're going to show you both, and we're not going to do the complete test, but just a demo with you, okay? So you have a specific, I would like to lose some weight. So let's ask your body this first of all. Is your body okay with losing some weight? And your body says yes. Okay. So sometimes you might need to ask those kind of questions of a person, because, you know, you as healers, a person might be thin and even have a, you know, they might be really thin and their body says, no, I really don't want to lose weight at this time, and so on. So just ask, is that okay with your body? Yeah, your body says, I am fine with that. All right. And we don't need to ask any more questions like that at this time. So let's ask first, just for instance. So there are two different ways of testing on a scale of 0 to 10, basically, 0 being not a good food at all, 0, 1, 2, 3, and even up to 4, they're like not as good foods. And then 5, 6, 7, those are your middle of the road foods that are neutral, okay? They're neither good nor bad, really. They're just foods that you can add in once in a while. or to like flavorings and so forth, to make foods more palatable, to stick into a stir fry or something like that. And then 8, 9, 10, those are your primo best foods that will give you the most, and we're talking energy here, or help you with that goal that you have. Now, here's just a little aside. When I was doing a lot, and I still do, when in testing food programs, there are certain foods that, so I'm going to go over here for just a moment to the vegetable section, for instance. When I come to the vegetable section, and sometimes corn will just be like 0, stay away from corn, stay away from some of the other types of vegetables, or you go into the legumes, there are certain to like almost across the board when you have a fungal or yeast program or problem, you will learn to be a detective with the food, or with doing the food codes. And after you've done a few different plans, you'll see that, oh my goodness, the people, and this is generally, okay, because it's not always true, but generally people that have what I've seen, molds and funguses and things like that, need to stay away from certain foods that have molds and funguses associated with them. And that can be things like corn, and it can be things like grains, because grains have, and people will say, I can't eat, I'm, what did they say? Gluten intolerant. Often I find it is not the gluten, it is the molds and funguses that are actually on the grains that contribute, okay? So, and sometimes sprouted sourdough, sometimes sourdough, which gets rid of or kind of eats up those molds and funguses people can eat when they found they were gluten intolerant, thought they were. So that's just a little aside tip for you. So you will find, just like I did, in my original testing, to find the best foods and the worst foods with people. However, it will be different. So don't across the board say, oh, I know you have a mold infection, because that may not be true, but just some little highlights to see. Okay, so are you ready? Here we go. We're going to test a few of these on a scale of 1 to 10 to start out with. Now, African mango, first of all, I'm just to make sure I'm tuned in with you, Paula. All right. Am I testing for myself, Lana? I am not. Am I testing for you, Paula? Very strong with that. All right. So African mango for you for weight reduction is a 0. Okay, your body is saying, no, no, thank you for that right now. Apple weight reduction on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 5, yes, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. Is this about a 9? Okay, apples, a good weight reduction food for you. Apricots, is it up to, and you can, instead of going like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you can say, is it up to a 5 for you? The answer is no. Is it a 0, 1, 2? So it's about a 2, apricots. Avocado, is this up to a 5? Yes. Is it 6, 7, 8, 9? Is it a 9? Yes. Okay, so far we're seeing apples, apricots, avocados. Now doing this on a scale of 1 to 10 for all of these things is what I suggest to do in the beginning, okay? You can fast track this though. You can say, for your goal, this is my goal, I'd like to lose some weight. And so then ask, what are my best foods? These would be 8, 9, 10. What are the foods I need to stay away from, which would be basically like a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in those areas. So let's ask, are bananas one of your best foods at this time? No. So a banana is a 0 to 5 for you right now? No, it's a 0, 1, 2. Banana is only a 3. So if you're doing the weight loss smoothies for, those weight loss smoothies and doing a certain person's program, you use a half a banana, you use all those greens and so forth. All those greens and the powder or whatever may be doing good for you. That banana may be sabotaging you. So does that make sense, ladies? Okay. Any questions so far? All righty. All right, so is camu camu a best food for you? No, so we can put, is this a 0 food for you? No, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so is dragon fruit a best food for you? No. Are dates a best food for you for weight loss? Excellent, yes. Okay, so they are a 5, 6, 7, 8. So dates are actually an 8. So you could have fast-tracked that and just put an X in there, so an 8, 9, 10. So star fruit, is this a best food for you? It is not. Okay, is it a neutral food for you? Yes, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's actually a 5. So just showing you how to do this. So we've done some fruits here. Okay, and one thing I found with, and this is not to prejudice you, but just to let you know, one thing I found that was in my first perfect food list for people that were very ill was watermelon. And so let's test watermelon for you, and it will test yes or no. So is watermelon at this time, and you want to add those words, at this time, for what you were doing, one of your best weight reduction foods? And the answer is yes. Is it more than a 7? Yes, it's a 8, 9, 10. Okay, and it, whoops, where did we go? And it just happens to be in the season as well, getting into that season. So watermelon is 10 or an X. And then, is there something in that we didn't have in this? Okay, and you could put in other. So, and we could just go, let's, for instance, if you're not, you don't have to go through this whole list if you are not, if there's a, if you're really not a berry person, or you don't have to completely test this whole list to see if you don't eat some of these things, or they're not available where you live or your country. You don't have to, like, waste your time in testing. One of my recent people said, I can't get any of those in my country. The only thing she could get were a couple berries. And so we didn't need to test those. But let's just ask. Acai berry, now that's a thing that people will put in weight loss products, or they will have, the acai smoothies. Is acai one of your best weight loss foods at this time? It's not. Is it a neutral food? Yes. So it is like a 3, 4, 5. It's about a 5. So you could just leave that blank. Or so and then you can go, out of these next 3, are any of these best foods? No. Okay, out of these next 3, are any of these best foods? No. Are out of these 3, are any of these best foods? Yes. Is it a cranberry? No. Is it a currant? No. Is it an elderberry? Yes. Now there are elderberry tinctures, there are elderberry, they come out in August. Elderberry for you as weight loss is a more than a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So getting the idea of fruits and vegetables. Now, here's an interesting thing. When it comes to canned or dried foods, you are changing the foods, you're changing the frequency of foods. With all that, let's see, an apple. Okay, let's go over and ask, an apple. Is an apple, a dried apple, in the best for you for weight loss? The answer is no. What is dried apple for you? It's a 0, it's a 1. It's like maybe a 1. Okay, so just in all my years of doing this, I found that you have taken the water out of this. It's highly concentrated, and maybe not some of the fiber, but you've taken with the water, dried out some, it has changed it, so to speak. So canned and dried. So canned apples, let's ask, 0 to 1. Canned or dried, it has changed it to where your body wants a fresh apple. Does that make sense with you ladies? Y'all, all y'all? Okay, question? All right, feel free to pop up and ask because I'm here for you. Okay, so now dates and figs are dried. Let's ask, did we test figs over here? So fresh fig for you is a 0, 1. Okay, so not as high. So, and these are very high sugar foods as well. And people will say, you got to stay away from high sugars. So dried dates for you, which there are fresh, but they're just like dried as well. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so dates. Figs, dried figs, a 0 for you. And sometimes those, with some people, they will test good both ways. So anyway, and so let's ask grapes over here. Green grapes are often dried for raisins. A green grape for you, is it more than a 5? Yes, a 6, a 7, an 8. So that's a good weight loss food for you. Raisins, a raisin are a 0, a 1. So what happens to the food sometimes makes a difference. Okay, so, and Cynthia, I don't want to overrun my time. How much more time do we have in this?
You've got 15 more minutes. You can go as long as you want.
Okay, all righty. Well, we'll zip along here. So that is, let's look at vegetables here now. You will have, now there are different diet plans, okay, out there for weight loss. And different diet plans will say, stay away from all the starchy vegetables. Very bad for you. Stay away from all fats, etc. And sometimes, and I think one of the diet gurus out there right now has just come out with potatoes are your best friend. Potatoes will help you get rid of viruses. You need potatoes. So sometimes a potato is your best food. Sometimes a potato is not. So it's across the board with anything, okay? Any food. So let's pick.
May I ask, please?
Yes.
When we go through all this and we find what's good for us, do we need to ask also in which way we need to prepare it for us to get the best
Beautiful.
value?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You can ask, for instance, with the vegetables, and that is one of my key points. Do I need more cooked food in my diet? So let's ask this. Do I need, let's ask you, Paula, would a specific, let's ask, do you need mostly raw foods at this time? And the answer is no. It's coming into springtime. You're going to hear a lot about raw foods. Stay on those, etc. So we're looking at your vegetables here and greens. For instance, some of the foods that are best cooked happen to be things like kale and so on. So is kale one of your best foods? And it is. It's actually a 10. I can just see a 10 right there. Is kale best for you raw? The answer is no. Is kale best for you steamed or cooked? Yes, it is. So you can ask, do I need any of these foods raw? Is it okay? And you can ask, what percent of my diet needs to be raw? Paula, let's ask, what percent of your diet at this time for weight loss is appropriate as raw food? Only about 5%. Do you have any trouble digesting? Any trouble with digest that you know of?
No, that I know, no.
Okay, cooked foods will help the body digest better, is what I've seen pretty much with a lot of people. So Cooked or steamed at this time for weight loss, about 95% like cooked or steamed. That's very interesting, isn't it? But it could, and that's at this time. And let's just go back here real quick, and I'm going to put, so this plan that we are testing for you for weight loss is for days, weeks. It's for weeks, yes. How many weeks? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 weeks. All right. And you can also ask, let's say apples test very good for you. Do I need to eat apples every day? No. How many times a week do I need to eat, let's say, an apple? Okay, 1, 2, 3. So about 3 times a week, you need that wonderful nutrition from an apple. And you can ask things like, can I eat more if I want to? And your body is saying, not if you want weight loss. For your help, you might be able to eat an apple a day to keep the doctor away, sort of thing. But your body is saying 3 times a week, okay? All right, so let's move on into vegetables. So artichokes, let's just do best. No, so it's a 0, 1, 2, 3. Artichokes are a 3. Let's ask for beet greens. Are these best for you at this time? No, interesting. 0, 1, 2, okay. And let's go with green cabbage. Green cabbage, a best for you food at this time? Yes. So I could just put an X in there. Whoops, excuse me. I could just put an X in there and then go on. Red cabbage, best for you at this time? Yes. Napa cabbage, best? Yes. Cauliflower, no. Is this a neutral food for you? Yes. Celery, a best food? Yes. Okay. And let's ask this with juicing. Celery is a big deal juicing. You can buy your celery already juiced. Let's ask for you. Let's go down here to, where do I have that? To juicing. Okay, juicing. Well, let's just ask juicing with vegetables. So for weight loss, your best vegetables, is this a good thing for you to lose weight right now? No, not juicing. Okay, so adding fruits and vegetables, is this a best thing for you? No. So is juicing in general a good weight loss program for you right now? And the answer is no. Okay, here's another thing, ladies, with cleanses. You know, bam, do that cleanse. Get the cleanses. Get the cleanse on. It's very popular right now. Many of the top people are doing the cleanse challenge. And what I have found with a lot of my real ill clients is they about cleanse themselves to death. Okay, you can do too much cleansing. It is just too hard on the body. So okay, so that gives you an idea here. And lettuce, iceberg lettuce. Oh, that is not good for you. We've been told that for so many years by so many people. Iceberg lettuce, is this one of your best foods? Yes. It's also really good if juicing is good for you. So it's an X. Okay, so it's more than a 5. It's a 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so then different foods. So you could continue on here with just plain doing X's. Now, sometimes the onion chive family, one thing with anything is one thing, and sometimes the whole bunch. Are any of these a bad food for you at this time that you should stay away from? No. Okay, and then you can go on into different types of peppers. There are sweet and other. So let's move along, and different types of squash. Every food has its frequency, okay? Every single food has its frequency. You cannot say, yes, squash is very good for me, or you cannot say, no, squash is bad for me. A banana will have something different than a butternut. A Hubbard will have a different footprint, a different DNA than a patty pan. So banana squash is not your best. Butternut is as Hubbard. Is patty pan at this time? Yes. Okay, and that's more like a summer squash. Is pumpkin your best at this time? No. Spaghetti squash at this time? Yes. So just for some ideas there. And these are, so let's ask for potatoes. So weight loss, a potato in general, not your best. A red potato, not your best. Sweet potatoes, yes. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so yes. So sweet potato would be a good. A yellow potato is different than a white potato. They have different frequencies. Sometimes red and yellow will be good for you, whereas a white potato will not. So just some ideas there.
I have a question.
Yes.
Real quick. On a banana, it can be green, which is one frequency. It can be yellow, and then super ripe where the sugar is higher. Same thing? I mean,
excellent.
You have to
ask that. You definitely could ask that. Yes. Yeah, that's a very excellent question, because degree of ripeness and a particular banana. Okay, you can go through. So here's a quick shopping. You can go through the store. You can use your muscle testing, and you can ask. So apples are good for you. There's like 5 different variety of apples there. Are any of these apples best for me at this time? It's a yes or a no. The different types of apples have more, this or that in them. So just you can ask, and the organic doesn't always test the best. You don't, there's truth in advertising that sometimes organic is not organic, etc. There's such controversy out there about that, but who just walked by that beautiful organic fruit and sneezed all over it? I've been saying that for many years, and people are really paying attention to that one right now, aren't they? So, okay, so that you can do easily and very fast shopping with your muscle testing. Okay, so you get the idea here, right? Same thing with any of the rest of these, the same thing with dairy, different types of dairy, different cheeses. You could ask raw. You can ask more questions than what I have here. And Suzanne, you have a great inquiring mind. So all those kind of questions you can ask, okay? Fermented, is fermented dairy better? Can I actually eat fermented dairy? Certain cheeses might test good or not so good for you. And then certain, and it's the same thing with grains. A certain grain may test good or not good for you. And yet the flour, the processed, may not be as good for you as the grain. A sprouted grain might be better than not. But what I've seen with grain, people unable to eat grains, not being so much the grain itself, it could be actually how it has been grown, that those chemicals that have been put on a particular one, etc. So, and the sourdough has tested really good for a lot of people who cannot. I've got some great testimonials in my book about people who just could not eat any of that. So pastas, and then going into nuts, seeds, nut butters, etc. Sometimes almonds will test really super for you, yet the almond butter, not so much. It has been changed. It might be have an oil put into it or something like that. Same with seeds and fats and oils. There are those, no, we do not eat fats. I find that sometimes beef tallow, the fat from beef, is really good for someone, or that chicken or ghee or butter as top foods. And here's if you some people are, vegan or vegetarian for different purposes, different reasons. And they might test as an animal food that is best for them. So here's what I've done with when that comes up. A lot of people are, now I'm not pro or con with any of this, okay? I have no prejudice, and that is a key. Stop judging food. Stop judging food. Stop judging people who are eating this way or that way. I am doing this better. Or your best friend says, oh, no, no, no. Just, that's all judging, okay? You are your own person. You're your own special thing. If you choose to, or have someone chooses a vegan eating program, their body might be needing some type, and this is what I have found with testing people, their body might be needing some type of like butter or ghee or beef tallow. Their body might be needing some type of the nutrition from a certain type of flesh or something like that. Here's what I do. Ask them, is it okay if you give this to yourself energetically? Is that okay with you? I have never had anyone turn it down. Okay, so let's say someone they're vegetarian and their body said, I really need some beef. You can look at some of the nutrients or food that tests good for you and you're allergic to it. Look at what the nutrients are. Google that food and test what the nutrients are and so those might be substitute. You might substitute some of that nutrition into your eating plan. Okay, but here's what I've had people do. Are you opposed? Let's say, so let's test you, Paola. Do you follow a certain eating regime, vegan or vegetarian?
No, I eat everything.
Okay, all right. But let's just say let's ask beef for this weight loss. Beef for you right now, it's actually not one of your best foods. Let's ask what your best protein. Is it veal? Is it bison? Is it chicken? Okay, chicken is a best food for you. Is it game hen? Yes, we're in the poultry. Is it duck? No. Elk? No. Goose? Yes. Is it lamb? No. Liver? No. Pork? No. Quail? No. Turkey? No. Okay, so some of the top here, but let's say you were vegan or vegetarian and you couldn't eat this. And ask, is this okay? Yes. Okay. Give yourself the energy of chicken. Just apply whatever that energy you need from chicken, give you that chicken. And how many times a week do I need to have a meal, energetic meal of chicken? 1, 2. So that kind of thing you can do, but always ask if the person is appropriate. So with you, how many meals a week a chicken for you? 1, 2. And how many ounces of chicken for you? 1, 2, 3, about 3 or 4 ounces. Okay, does that make some sense? All right, so let's move on. Eggs, chicken eggs for you are for weight reduction, a best for you, yes. So 8, 9. Chicken eggs are a 9. Duck are a 9, goose 9, quail. So eggs are testing really good for you across the board. Okay, so getting into the other foods, sweeteners and spices, you can just do the same thing. Sometimes when the dates are really good for you, the date sugar is simply ground dates and you can use it like that. So date sugar for you, now we have processed a little bit with grinding, is a 5, 6, 7, so it is an 8, so it's in your X. Honey for you is not as good of a food. Let's test you for NutraSweet. It's just like a 0, okay? So let's do this. We're just going to go across your food plan. And let's just ask, are there any particular salts that your body really needs at this time? No. Is there anything on this page that you should absolutely stay away from at this time that's a 0 or in the lower category? Yes. Is it any type of the salt? Yes. Is it iodized? Yes. So we're just going to put in a 0. Is it table salt? No, but this is a 0 for you. Is anything on here a 0 for you at this time? No. So any foods on this list, on this page, that you need to stay away from in order to lose weight? Yes. Over here in the spices, any of the spices? No. Any of the condiments? Yes. Okay. So we can ask from here to here. Yes. is it aminos or coconut, ketchup, fish, kimchi, horse, hot sauce, hummus? Ah, is soy a food that you need to stay away from? Yes, it is. Okay, so that is a big deal. So soy-based mayonnaise, 0. Grapeseed-based mayonnaise is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you have. Olive oil mayonnaise is like yeah, about a 4 or so. Grapeseed being very higher for you. Okay, so anything, usually when it comes to the sugars is where we have some zeros. Is agave a 0, blue agave a 0, coconut, corn syrup? So high fructose, that is a 0. Is fructose a 0? Honey a 0? Lucuma a 0? Maple syrup a 0? Blackstrap, rice syrup a 0? Yes. Saccharin a 0? Yes. Sorghum a 0. Splenda a 0. Stevia. Here's where a lot of people use stevia. For you, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the lower end. Sucrose, is this a 0? Yes. Sucanat, 0? Yes. Okay. Sugar beet refined, yes. And yes. Okay, so all those things you probably did know. Dried cane juice, a 0 for you? Yes. Xylitol, no. Yeah, that's about a 5. Okay, so those are some ideas of searching for a food that you should stay away from. And you could go to each one of these sections and just like speed it through any of these fats that you need to stay away from at this time or be a 0. Yes, okay, avocado, beef, butter, ghee, canola, is that a 0? Yes, stay away from that. Cocoa butter, and so you can ask yes or no. Is corn oil a 0 for you at this time? Yes. Okay, so, and you could do that with the rest of them. Soybean oil, bingo, 0. So some of the others might be lower for you too. But I think you're getting the idea. So when you go shopping at the grocery store, okay, I also sent you a list. It's not fillable, but you could just, write down, these are my best vegetables, these are my best, and right on the bottom, just stay away from these, and you can test, how much of this do I need at a time in order for weight loss, etc. And you do this exact same process with, I have a bowel problem, or I have this pain and ache in my neck, or my hair's falling out. So, and for your child or grandchild who's having struggles at school, sometimes it's foods. You can test this for, let's say you have, so your grandkid is loving macaroni and cheese, and are both of these brands, are either one of these brands okay for them? You can test in the shopping market aisle. You can actually go into the store and there's the aisles and say, for what I need today, is there a best food for me in this aisle? And then you can break the aisle in half. Is it on that end of the aisle? No. Is it on this end of the aisle? No. Is it the top shelf, the middle shelf? You can break it down into getting right down to it. And I mentioned this in my book several years ago. My husband, he had a cold or something like that. And I had very little time. Zip over to the grocery store and ask, are there any foods here that I don't have that would be best for him right now? Went into the store and just did that same thing, aisle, shelf, etc. It was pretty interesting. I think I came out with 4, 5, 6 different foods, and I was out of that store. We have a small grocery store, but I was out of there in about 6 minutes. It's like, okay, now go and do this for, test this for my book and see in and out. So it can be very quick, because some people will say, I don't have time to shop. Now there are some really wonderful food systems out there that bring fresh food to you, and you can order the meals, and some of those really are pretty good. But again, you're letting someone else do that cutting, chopping for you. And sometimes that works just great. I have some clients, I have some kids that occasionally do those systems, and they're quite good. But so feeding yourself and then feeding your family. Some different quick ideas for that. Let's say you and your spouse have different food programs. You can, for instance, and I give you some ideas in the back of the book, you can make a soup that has general ingredients in it, okay? And your spouse may need some pork or beef, and chicken might be your thing. You could have, you know, a little bowl of different things that you could put, different vegetables or condiments or something that you could add to a soup, almost like a soup smorgasbord. That's really not that hard to do, okay? And you can do really super good ones with like potatoes. Here you have Paula, sweet potatoes are good for you, but you want to have like a baked potato bar, and general white potato is good for the rest of your family. Bake yourself a sweet potato and bake them some other potatoes, and then have some of your best things to put on it. Have yourself some steamed collard greens. Have your cucumbers are okay. Have, you know, just kind of some black olives that would test good for you. And actually black olives are like about a 10 for you on this plan. So you could have different ideas and things like that. And I give you a lot of that and those ideas in the book. And then in the back of the book, I also show you how different people have used their food plans with their family or just with themselves. So any questions before we just wrap this up?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. It's getting to spring, summer.
Uh-huh.
And depending on where you live, and you get invited to these parties with potato chips and watermelon. That's good. I'm a 10
Yes.
on the watermelon. So if you're on this plan for, let's say you're doing it for 2 weeks and you get invited to someone's house, that's probably my hardest time. Usually I'll sneak like celery and some of the vegetables I really like in my purse. It's horribly rude. And then I open my Ziploc bag up and eat them. And I drink my own liquids, but you know, what are your suggestions for that? Because it happens to all of us.
These days, most people really don't think it's horribly rude. Just say, you know what, for my best health right now, I have a certain eating plan, and I'm going to bring some of my own foods. And 99% of the time, people are okay with that. If they're not, but here is so you're on a strict eating plan. Ask, do I need to do this for 7 days a week? Is it okay to do it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So let's ask for you, Paula. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week. Okay. Doesn't mean that you can go hog wild, so to speak, on that 7th day, but have something that you've been really wanting. Okay. And have a little bit of it. Here is my motto, and this is the truth. Do your best and bless the rest. This is not a diet. It's not that whip you and you're bad if you break it or something. Bless that piece of cake that your friend has just made, or that wonderful lemon meringue pie. Have a sliver of it and just tell yourself, this is the best thing for my weight loss right now. My mouth is loving this. And you know, your body will go, check. That is the best thing for your weight loss right now. That is the best food for you right now. If you say, I know this is not good for me and I'm going to eat it anyway, your body's going, no, that's really not good for you. And you know that. And I'm going to continue to beat you up for, you know, so do your best, bless the rest. Science has proven that blessing, gratitude, it doesn't have to be any particular type of a blessing or religion or anything like that, but pure gratitude for something, love from your heart, can change the frequency of like a plain white bread that didn't have a very good frequency to excellent. Does that make sense, Suzanne?
Yes, that's excellent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do your best, bless the rest. Because sometimes, and eating out, a couple of tips for eating out, test what is best on the, let's see, open up your, open up your, your you open up and you go, okay, here's all over here are my, the entrees, the desserts, da 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 da, and you might have several pages. Or is there something best for me in this group on this page? Is there something best for me on this page? Or here's what I did a while ago. I eat pretty well, okay, and so because I'm honoring my body, and it's fun to do that. It is fun when you finally release that diet mentality. It's like, I can have whatever I want when I want. So I went to a restaurant and I said, what is a thing that will give me the most joy and just make my mouth the happiest with eating today? I didn't care what it was. And it was more like an Asian restaurant. And so I'm looking down the menu and it went into noodles, and I'm going, well, noodles don't make my mouth happy that much. I don't really care for like the texture and and stuff like that. And I just honored my body and I said, okay, this noodle one is what tastes best for me right now. So I ordered that. Oh my goodness. There was this beautiful, they had vegetables, there were different things. The sauce on it was lick the plate delicious. Okay, I ate half of it. I honored my body. I tested too how much, because my body went, oh, I want to eat all this. And my inner knower said, no, eat about half of this or you're going to feel bad. And I did. I saved it for later, but it was absolutely delicious for me that day. Okay, because your tastes can change as well. But maybe I needed something in it, but my taster absolutely loved it. So test what's the best for me in whatever, or sometimes it's just that chocolate cake. Do your best and bless the rest. Okay, so that is, we could talk for a long time now, but that I think we have hit the max. So.
God bless you very much, Lana. That was awesome. That made it a lot more sensible than what I was trying to pull off on my own. I was trying to pull different things, and it's like, this isn't working. I'm not doing something right. And that made a lot of sense. Thank you so, so very much. I'm sure everybody learned something, and we appreciate it. And what we can do for just so many, I didn't even think about different ailments that we could ask or anything like that. I didn't even think about that.
Yes, and you can test your pets as well. With pets, you can just basically test what their best pet foods are. They have fresh foods in the pet food aisle now,
Right.
For instance, a beautiful little boxer, she was losing the hair on her back, okay, and right where her adrenals were, she had some adrenal problems, and tested a certain supplement for her adrenals, but tested that she needed some fresh chicken. So her pet mom actually was able to just, instead of, cooking up a fresh chicken for her, she actually found fresh chicken in the pet aisle in the refrigerator department and gave her a little bit of fresh chicken. Her with the supplements and the chicken, the hair grew back on her back and she was motating a lot better. So you can test your pets, whatever kind of an animal they are, even like your field animals and so forth, their best kind of hay or whatever. So that you can do this with humans and animals, and just use your great imagination and do your best and bless the rest really is the key. And kick the diet mentality out because this is just eating. This is simply eating for your bestness, and it is really fun, and your body will love you more and more.
Well, let me ask you this. If you have, I have a few clients that don't think that food matters, and they eat pretty much garbage and they weigh quite heavily. And to get the point across to them, what you eat is what you are. And if you don't eat the proper foods for your body, then your body's going to be having these imbalances. How would you put that across to someone that is that overweight and that unhealthy, that food is what's going to make it the best?
You might look at balancing organs and glands.
Mhm.
You might look at emotions and addictions. Emotions
Mhm.
often will, and if they will do the, if they will, the learning how to clear emotions is a pretty easy thing for a lot of people.
Yes.
I suggest just you're putting your emotion code. You can run that chart off. Go to Discover Healing. You can run that emotion code off, and if you're wanting to lose weight or you're craving something or whatever it might be, an emotion, just look at
Mhm.
that chart. Little kids can do this, and you can
Oh,
say,
yes.
what are you feeling right now? Look at that chart. They don't even have to read, and they'll go, that. And so then, just clear whatever that is. And I have tons of stories of people using that have actually then been okay with eating better. So it might be somewhere in the emotional, mental
Okay.
area. They might have an organ or gland system that is really out of balance and just craving things that are not good for them,
Mhm.
that, and some toxins as well. So any of
Right.
those areas.
Right. Right. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. We appreciate you so much coming on once again and blessing us with your knowledge.
Thanks for the fun. I love it.
Oh, we
So
love having you. If we could all just bow our heads and just give blessings here, Lord our God, we thank you for allowing Alana to come and bless us with her knowledge and for us learning such great knowledge to help our clients and ourselves and the techniques that we can utilize for those coming forth. And we just absolutely bless each and every one of you and Healers Enlightened Network. And Lana, we pray that everything is blessed in your life. Amen.
amen. Thank you ever so much. So, okay, bye all y'all.
Thank you.
And